Awakening with Kendra. Awakening with me. Awakening with Kendra. Come and heal with me. Yeah. Come and heal with me.
Peace and love, peace and love. Oh, it feels so good to be saying those words again. How are you today? And welcome back to Awakening with Kendra. I said, welcome back to Awakening with Kendra. It feels so good to be back singing, talking, vibing, conversing. This is where I want to be. This is where I love to be. And I'm so happy to be back here with you today. Before we begin and go into this episode, I just want to say hello. How are you? How have you been? You know, we have to check in, see where we are today. If we are in alignment to even listen to this today. Have you talked to yourself today? Have you checked in with yourself today? Have you given yourself love and space to be heard today? If not, make sure you do that right now. Just see where you are. Ask yourself, how am I? Am I in a space to listen to this podcast episode today? If you are, cool. Stay here, lock in. If not, if not, no pressure. Pause, align with yourself. And if you want to come right back, come back. If not, take your time. We're going to be here. But damn, it feels good to be back. Ooh, ooh, feels so good. So what's up? What's up? I know life has been lifing for everybody in its own way. I know life for sure for me has been doing what it does. Moving fast, slowing me down, stretching me in different directions. Motherhood, school, healing, creativity, all of it happening at the same time. And I've been learning how to not lose myself in the middle of all of that. Before anything else, I just want to say I missed this space. Oh, how I have missed getting to converse with you all. It's like the highlight of my days when I get to sit here and talk to you and hear your feedback when the episodes come out. I love it. I love it all. Not the pressure of it, not the content constantly cranking out part of it, but these conversations are everything. Like they are everything, and I love them. And this time, I feel different coming back into it. Have been doing a lot of inner work lately, especially through EMDR therapy, which we will, talk about later. And one thing that's really been sitting with me is perspective. How I see things changes everything. How we see things changes everything. I used to think I had to wait for life to calm down before I could feel better. Like, once everything outside of me made sense, then I could finally feel grounded. But I'm learning it doesn't really work like that. Sometimes the shift starts inside first. And really, majority of the time, it starts inside first. And then life slowly starts to meet you there. And somewhere in the middle of all that, well, shit, I found out I have PCOS. And I want to be real about that, but also not make it heavier than what it really is or what it already is. It was surprising. It was a lot to take in, but it also wasn't completely shocking because I already knew something in my body had been feeling off for a while. I just didn't have language for it yet. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, not just with PCOS, but with their bodies in general. Sometimes we feel things before we understand them. And instead of slowing down to listen, we tend to just keep going because life doesn't stop. I know I've done that too. And I've been sitting with that lately, not in a blaming way, but more in a, oh, I see what's been happening here kind of way. Because I've been learning that my body has actually been communicating with me for a long time. I just wasn't always in a place where I could hear it clearly. Although I like to believe that I'm pretty in tune with my body majority of the time. This was a different kind of aligned attunement and it was off. But now we're here and we are learning. And so, one of the biggest things I've been working on lately is perspective, because even something like PCOS can easily turn into fear or frustration or feeling like your body is working against you. But I've been trying to slow down and slow that reaction down and ask something different instead. Like, what is my body actually asking for right now? And I don't mean that in a big, overwhelming way. Sometimes the answer is rest, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's movement that feels gentle instead of forced, sometimes it's just pausing instead of pushing through. And I'm learning to treat that question like a check in, not a test. Even with working out, like I like to be fit for sure, but my idea of working out was just not going to the gym and doing all of that. And I thought for a long time that that's how it had to be for me. And so it was very, it wasn't something I was excited about. And I used to get really stuck on what progress is supposed to look like. But now I'm realizing movement doesn't have to look one specific way to still count. Some days it's a full workout, some days it's stretching, some days it's walking, some days it's rest. And my body is still being cared for in all of those moments, even with creativity too. I used to think consistency meant producing something big every time, but now I'm realizing sometimes consistency is just not abandoning yourself creatively. A voice note, a quick idea, a sentence in my notes app, all of that counts. And I think that's been the biggest shift for me lately, learning that things don't have to look the way I imagine them in order for them to still be growth. And I think that's where perspective has really been changing everything for me. Because instead of looking at things like they're stopping me, I'm starting to see how they might actually be redirecting me. Not everything feels good in the moment, and that's okay. Not everything is meant to feel good in the moment. I'm learning how to hold space for the idea that things can still be working for me, even when I don't fully understand them yet. And I don't say that in a dismissive way, I say it in a very real, lived way. Because I know what it feels like to be in the middle of things that don't make sense yet. If you know, you know. And I'm sure everybody has had these moments where it doesn't make sense. And sometimes we panic, sometimes we hermit ourselves, meaning we go into shells. Like everybody has a different response to things that don't really feel right or feel good to us. And so I'm learning to just sit, sit with it, not hold on to it, but sit with it and learn to change the perspective and see it in a different way. Not to just talk about my life, but oh, and I think though that part of why I wanted to come back to this podcast in this way is was not to just talk about me and not to just talk about the PCOS and how I changed my perspective and working on changing my perspective and all of that, but to create a space where we can actually talk about these things together, because I don't think this is just a me experience. That's why it is called Awakening with Kendra. We are awakening with so we are awakening with me, sure, but all of these conversations, all of these episodes are you awakening within yourself too, because everybody has these situations in one way or another. And I think a lot of us are learning how to reconnect with ourselves at the same time in different ways, but similar feelings. And I don't want this space to feel like I'm telling you how to do life. As you know, that's not how we operate over here. But I want you all to feel like we're just figuring it out together. No pressure, no perfection, just honesty. And that's why I leave the flubs and the blooper moments, I would say, in, because nothing is perfect. And I don't want this to feel like we need to show up perfect. So yes, if I flub some words, it's gonna be here because, that's me. Sometimes my brain works faster than my mouth, and that's okay. No pressure, no perfection. But before I go, I want to leave you all with a couple of things that have been helping me lately. Just small things you can take with you into your week if they fit where you are right now. The first one, I've been asking myself more often, what is my body actually asking for right now? That is something heavy just to check in. And so, like I said earlier, we can do rest. Sometimes the answer is rest. So if you need to rest, if your body's telling you to rest, rest. If it's water, if your body is telling you it's need water, give it water. If it's stepping outside for a few minutes, do that. If it's slowing down instead of pushing through, do that. And I'm learning to just listen without judging the answer. And the second thing is, I've been noticing when I'm on autopilot, not to criticize myself, but just to come back. Even if it's just taking one deep breath and asking, am I actually okay right now, or am I just moving through the day? That's it. Small moments of coming back to yourself. Because I think for a lot of us, healing doesn't start with big changes, it starts with small moments of actually listening. So, yeah, here we are having our conversations and getting reacquainted with one another. So, I'm going to pose a question in the polls just to check in with you, and we can have this conversation dialogue. Like, what is, when you think of the word perspective, what is that to you? And how are you moving through and flowing through with changing perspective to not have scenarios and situations seem like they're piling up on you? How do you navigate that? And we're back. Awakening with Kendra. Still healing, still learning, still becoming. And if you're in a season where you're trying to understand yourself better too, I hope this reminded you that you are not alone. Never alone. We are always here. I am always here. And I'm really glad to be back here with you. Peace and love.